Hey, what's going on out there, YouTube family? This is Samuel Lega here representing Team JVS. I'm back again for another series season review. This is the Apple TV Plus show that first season won a Daytime Emmy. I'm talking about Ghostwriter. I had the luxury of being able to do an interview with one of the main creative directors, and Luke Metheny, Hannah Livingston, that plays the role of Donna, and Justin Sanchez, that plays the role of Curtis. Awesome interview, so definitely go and check that out. I'll put that in the description bar below, as well as there'll be a tag at the very last part of this. But this is going to be my review for season 2. I will try my best to make sure I keep it spoiler free, because one of the things that platformed the last episode was that the very last thing that happened was Donna, in trying to save her friends, decided to write in the book and finish the story. And up until that point, everything that GW was doing was kind of coming from the book. And on top of that, they had went on the assumption that this was Ruben's grandmother. Then they realized it possibly wasn't, which made it so much more creepy, because then it's kind of like, who have they been communicating with? And even with the fortune teller, like kind of alluding some things, it just seemed very ominous and very strange. And that in the very first episode plays ahead even more, because she shows up in the very first episode to let them know, yeah, there's something very off about this situation. Now, again, going into that, like the last thing that kind of happened was them kind of going and checking to see, okay, wait, now this is not the grandmother. Now we understand that it's not just books that things come out, things that we actually do. On top of that, one of the biggest things that Frankenstein's monster's girl, was a byproduct of something that they allowed to happen. And on top of that, it could be seen and it could be interacted with other people, which makes the whole magic side of this a lot more creepy, because now it's not just secluded to the actual kids, but now manifestations of what they're doing. So, case in point, in this season, they've got different situations where maybe there's one episode, I think it was like episode 2 or 3, when Ruben was sitting there just, painting and drawing something, and all of a sudden, he kind of happened to drop his original paintbrush, and he just continued to paintbrush with something else, and it's like everything that he's sitting there drawing, literally came to life. And it's kind of just like, wait, that is not a book. So what is going on? You start to find out that certain things that come from the books can also manifest, or directly with what they do or what they say. Because one of the things that, Ruben had drawn was of Siobhan, or his idea of Siobhan, and that makes an interesting dissection with her as a character and kind of what she wants. And one of the things that they stayed true to, even from the first season, was making sure they focus in on the kids' individualities, as well as trying to get through their circumstances in life in general. I think that one of the things I loved about the first season was the exploration of Curtis's character, played by Justin Sanchez, and his, diagnostic of dyslexia, and kind of, what he was trying to do, how he was trying to hide it, how it kind of made him feel. That was very organic and very natural. And I also complimented Luke on that they really do make sure they focus in on the kids. But in this second season, they really nailed that home with the other kids. I think the first season was more, Ruben-centric. And now Ruben does have a really interesting arc in this, because at the very beginning, one of the things they're trying to do is, they talk to the mom, they talk to the grandfather, and they're like, all right, we're going to do renovations. We're going to try to keep this store going. And they're trying to platform and figure out how they can be able to do that. But the biggest thing about the last season, when they were going through, I forget what the little girl's name, but the little Sparkle, is, they found someone that the grandmother was talking to that was writing a letter. And then they start to understand, like, whoa, okay, who is this person that's in connection with this? Because maybe this is GW, maybe this is all connected. And of course, naturally it is. But again, with Ruben as a character, he's finally getting, used to his friends and being his own individual person. And but he also has to deal with the things that are going on around him, like his mom, her loneliness, and her wanting to, not just be Ruben's mom, but be more than that. And also being able to cater to his grandfather. They don't do as much with the grandfather in this season, which I was hoping a little bit for, like more uncoverings of him, but the surrounding themes of what's going on and the legacy that, the grandmother and he left is all the way fluid through most of the show at all times. But one thing that was crazy was when you start to uncover the mystery of GW and how GW is using them, not just writing stuff out, but he or she is leaving like all these different kind of mysteries and giving the characters. Now, okay, that's the other thing. So the book characters, they're all in full swing. Like it gets to the point that towards the last 3 episodes, like Sherlock Holmes is involved, and it's not just your normal version of Sherlock Holmes, but specifically GW is using these characters to, push the narrative or the mystery along for them, as well as using other people as well, and that's where things get a little interesting. Now, as far as Siobhan is concerned, I did mention her because in this season, she's not just like I'm just gonna do this and do it my way. Like, no, she really does love her friends. She's trying to do things, but now she feels like she really wants to do something for her school by any means necessary, and that puts her in direct clash with Curtis at sometimes, as well as like the people around her, like the basketball team and other people. Their perception of her changes, as well as she has to deal with her own purpose, like her time, like what is her time being spent doing, what is it, where would her time be better spent? And I think that's a really good thing, because a lot of kids they battle with going and doing all these different kind of things. Like I was a part of like different clubs and memberships and doing higher learning and all this kind of stuff, and that can be anxiety inducing. Now for Siobhan, it wasn't anxiety inducing, but it could get to that point, to the point where kids, they start to really just kind of like break down, and that's where like depression hits, and that's where like different tendencies start to happen, and that's where they start to act out because it's way too much and too overbearing. And the thing about Siobhan, like she's not even trying to platform herself towards even going to college. So the things and the themes that she's learning in this season are going to help her in the long run when she's trying to go towards college. Now, Donna and Curtis now, he's not just a basketball guy anymore. And I talked about that in an interview, but he's not. Like, he's very much so more than that. Like, he is a tinkerer. Like, he is very good at solving, problems, like mathematical issues or puzzles. Like, he sees things that other people don't see. There's an episode with the cab driver, the black guy, and Curtis immediately kind of picks up on some things that even Ruben or Siobhan or Donna don't. And I thought that was really good to see him kind of walk out of his shell. But the issue with that is that it also clashes with who he was. Like, he was the popular kid. He was the basketball star. He's not even as good at being basketball as much as he used to be because of his time that he's being spent doing this. And it's just very fascinating to see where that goes, because that ties in line with also with Donna, because we've known up until this point that Donna and and Curtis, their parents are divorced, but they've kind of handled it pretty well. And some moments, like Curtis tried to use it as an excuse, but they've been handling it pretty well, and they've also been trying to be there for their dad. But we haven't seen the mom in this season. We get to see the mom. We get to see the mom and her perception of Donna and Curtis. And there's a specific scene with Donna and the mom that I thought was very telling. I thought was very natural. That the mom really just wanted to know who her baby girl was and what she's become, because Donna is the younger one and she is still coming into her own. It's not just like, yes, she's solving mysteries with the group and she's becoming her own individual, but she also has her own separate life. She got her own separate friends, and there's another new character kind of comes into the fold that is in direct connection with a lot of different things that's going on in the actual story, which makes it very more interesting. But Donna, she also, is trying to not be popular, but she's trying to also figure out who she needs to be. Not just for her friends, but as a person, you know, and going through all these different kind of things. One thing I'll also say is they've always done this pretty well, is that all the different characters that do come out of the book, none of them feel cheesy. All of them are very smart. They have depth. A lot of times there are some characters that come out of the books that I'm like, can't they just stay? Like, can't we just kind of keep them around? Like, because like the way that they build the characters out, most of the characters that surround it, some are kind of fleeting in this season, but for the most part, a lot of them are very interesting, and they have very interesting arcs and are very pivotal in their place with these kids. And sometimes I just don't want to see them go. Like, honestly, the Sparkle Girl, I kind of was like, can't she just stay? Like, in all honesty, I'm not even gonna lie. And I love that. I love that you can find connection with these very interesting prospect characters, because it shows that the actors that are actually performing and acting them are carrying with them with love and carrying them along, that they are not just, you know, their next person of the week, but no, there's a purpose for them being there. And then again, the whole mystery behind GW, you're not gonna figure it out until the very last episode. They do something that goes beyond books. I say this goes crazy, and I am very curious. I am very hopeful now for a third season. I expressed that also to 3 individuals I got to interview with a part of this cast. But hopefully you guys did enjoy my review for Ghostwriter Season 2. I highly recommend you go and check it out. Hopefully I didn't spoil anything for you. And definitely like, subscribe, hit that bell button. Again, if you want to see the interview, go into the description bar below. There'll be a little box somewhere here or there that you can be able to check that out as well. Alright, you guys, have a blessed one. Peace, guys.